Hello students, in this video I would be talking about Fajan's rule. This would also be covered in chapter 4 of class 11, that is chemical bonding. Now what is Fajan's rule? It is actually the polarization by a cation that actually determines the percentage of a covalent character. I am sure you won't be able to understand it like this. Now here I am going to talk about an ionic bond. We all know an ionic bond is formed when there is complete transfer of electrons. And when I say there is a complete transfer of electrons, definitely the transfer is happening from a metal to a non-metal. Right? So if the transfer is happening from a metal to the non-metal, the metal becomes a cation because it has lost an electron, rather it has transferred one of its electron towards the non-metal side. And what will happen to the non-metal? Non-metal would become a anion. Now what has happened, this is a positive entity and this is a negative entity. So now they both are going to attract each other. And if they are attracting each other, I say that there is an ionic bond. Right. So now ideally, if I say ideally when an ionic bond will be formed, it would be formed when I say that if I am talking about the metal, it is of large size. Why beta large size? Because if it is of large size, it would be able to donate its electron easily. If it is of large size, it is going to be very far away from the nucleus. It is going to be away from the nucleus pull. So it would be very easy for you to knock out that outermost electron. Or I can say that the ionization energy is, enthalpy is low. On the contrary, if this entity has to take up an electron from the metal, it has to be small in size. Why? Because when you are adding an electron, that electron has to be attracted by the nucleus, and that would only happen if the nucleus has complete power or charge till that particular electron where it is being added. So if it is having a small size, it will easily accept that electron, or I can say more negative electron gain enthalpy. So this is an ideal condition when I'll say that a perfect ionic bond is formed. But what if it is not possible? I'll just give you a representation of this. What I am trying to say here, that this is a metal, this is the non-metal. This would easily give out its electron, and this will easily accept. So this is going to be the perfect case scenario. Now, but if the above situation is not fulfilled, if I do not have the largest metal or the smallest non-metal, then what will happen? In that case, for example, if I say that I have a smaller metal and a bigger non-metal. Now again, what is the problem? The electron has to go from metal only, right? But here the ionization enthalpy is going to be high. अब ये वाला पर्टिकुलर मेटल इलेक्ट्रॉन ट्रांसफर तो करेगा बट बहुत ईजिली नहीं दे पाएगा. एंड दिस, since it is very large in size, the last shell is away from the nucleus charge, then this is, yes, this non-metal will accept the electron, but this is not going to be an easy process. So now what will happen is, this would become, I have deliberately made it smaller than the previous condition. Why? Because once this metal has lost an electron, now what will happen? Let's say here the protons were equal to the number of electrons. Now what has happened? The electrons are lesser than the number of protons, right? So the effective nuclear charge is more here because now there are more protons that are binding to the electron. So the effective nuclear charge per electron is very, very high. So now it has shrunken to this size. It is smaller than the previous parent atom. What will happen to the non-metal? Non-metal will become even bigger in size. Why? Because by addition of that particular electron, here also the protons were equal to the number of electrons. What has happened here? The electrons are greater than the number of protons. So now there are lesser number of protons that are binding to the number of electrons that are there, which are more in number now. So the effective nuclear charge per electron decreases and the size has increased. So now this is the next case scenario once the electron transfer has occurred. Now what will happen is this cation will start, what will I say? It will start attracting the electron pair from here. Why? Because I said the effective nuclear charge here is more and here effective nuclear charge is less after the addition of electron here and after the removal of electron from here. So when I'm talking about this, here the effective nuclear charge is even more than before. So now what will it do? It will start attracting the extra electron that he has sent here, and this would what do? This would polarize or distort the electron cloud from the non-metal. So once the electron cloud has shifted from like this, I will say जो electron metal ने non-metal को यहाँ दिया था, it has come here somewhere in between, because it is not totally been taken by the non-metal. क्योंकि यहाँ पे जैसे वो electron गया था, effective nuclear charge increased. So now it has again tried to attract back its electron pair, which was supposed to be completely with the non-metal. Right? That means electron is coming in the center, which denotes the covalent character. Covalent character of the ionic bond. Right? And this is what Fajan's rule is. Fajan's rule says that there is only one possibility of forming an ideal bond, that is when you talk about the largest metal, which if you consider on the left hand side, the bottommost corner of the periodic table, that is your lithium. And if I talk about the perfect smallest non-metal, that would be on the extreme end, fluorine. Sorry, here I was talking about cesium. The biggest metal that is available in the periodic table, that is cesium, and the smallest non-metal that is there is fluorine. So whenever they will form a bond, that is going to be a perfect pure ionic bond. Though not very pure, but yes, to an extent it would be the ideal case scenario. But otherwise, if we have a pair of any metal non-metal, then there is going to be a Fajan's rule happening, wherein the electron that has been given to the non-metal by the metal will be pulled back, not completely with the metal, but it would be somewhere near it only. That means it would be having a covalent character. So as I said, nothing is going to be 100% ionic. There is going to be a little bit of covalent character in even all the ionic bonds that are there. So if I talk about Fajan's rule, it says the covalent nature. What do you mean by covalent nature? Covalent nature का मतलब है that metal electron को अपनी तरफ कितनी हद तक खींच पाएगा. Even though the metal has donated its electron towards the non-metal, but still it is attracting its electron back towards itself. So this covalent nature, wherein this metal and this non-metal, here it is going to be a little towards the metal, the electron, which was given to the non-metal previously. Now, what are the conditions in which this covalent nature would be at its best? The first case is the metal is small. अब क्या होगा? Metal छोटा है तो metal would be small, then effective nuclear charge would be high. Similarly, if I talk about the ionization enthalpy, it is also going to be high. So it would be easily pulling back the electron that it has transferred earlier. The second case would be that non-metal is large. Why? Because अगर वो इलेक्ट्रॉन नॉन मेटल में अच्छे से जाके एम्बेड हो गया तो चाह के भी मेटल उसको अपनी तरफ नहीं खींच पाएगा. So the best case scenario would be then that non-metal is very large. That means it has less negative electron gain enthalpy, so that it would be able to push that electron a little back again. Similarly, it will be having, the next condition is that the metal has higher positive charge. अब इस हायर पॉजिटिव चार्ज का मतलब क्या है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई से I had M plus and I had, let's say, M3 plus, right? And they both were forming a bond with the non-metal. This has given 1 electron towards the non-metal, this has given 3. Now what is the case is, who out of these two will be having more effective nuclear charge? The more effective nuclear charge would be here, क्योंकि यहाँ पे 3 इलेक्ट्रॉन कम है, तो प्रोटॉन्स और अच्छे से बाकी बचे हुए इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को पुल कर होल्ड करके रख पा रहे हैं. सो इफ इट इज़ हैविंग मोर higher charge, it will definitely be having higher effective nuclear charge. तो जितना ज़्यादा ये होगा, ये उतना ज़्यादा उसको अपनी तरफ खींच पाएगा. This particular thing is called as polarizing power. The tendency of the metal to pull back its electron from the non-metal or distort the electron cloud of the non-metal, that is called as a polarizing power. The next condition is metal is D is from D and F block, or I can say the metal is a D block element or a F block element. Why this condition is here? Because we know, we have already studied that D and F orbitals have poor shielding effect. If you do not know what is shielding effect, you can go back to one of my videos and you can see what is shielding effect. Now D and F are very poor shielding, so that is why they are not able to shield the outermost electron from the nucleus. So the effective nuclear charge is very high. So if the effective nuclear charge is high, there is more covalency. अगर इफेक्टिव न्यूक्लियर चार्ज बहुत ज़्यादा होगा तो वो उतना ही नॉन मेटल को अपनी तरफ खींच पाएगा, और अगर वो खींच पाएगा तो वो कोवलेंट कैरेक्टर शो करेगा. So these were the conditions that if are fulfilled, I can say that the covalency is existing, and you can also compare the covalency between the two different compounds that are formed. Before I start with the applications, I'll quickly sum up the things. If the metal is small, then the transfer of electron is going to be difficult, so the ionic character is going to be less. What will be more? Covalent character will be more. So what we are talking about? We are talking about the factors which will have increased covalent nature. किन चीज़ों की वजह से covalency increase होगी? So I have just explained metal. If the metal is small, if the metal has more positive charge, it has the capacity to pull back the transferred pair of electrons towards itself, because there is going to be more effective nuclear charge, so hence it will have a higher covalent nature. Similarly, if it is from D and F block, since it has poor shielding effect, the removal of the electron from such a block, orbital, it is going to be tough, so the ionic character is less and the covalent character is more. So now one thing is very clear, that covalent character is inversely proportional to the ionic character. एक ज़्यादा होगा तो दूसरा कम हो जाएगा. पर ionic character इतना ज़्यादा हमारे लिए ज़रूरी क्यों है? Because if I am talking about ionic character, beta, ionic character is directly proportional to the melting point. It is directly proportional to the boiling point. It is directly proportional to the solubility in water or in any of the polar solvents that we talk about. It is directly proportional to the thermal stability. What is thermal stability? Is that if you provide heat, the molecule is still stable. It doesn't completely opens up, right? So ionic character is related to all these properties, and that is why we need to be very careful about the compounds, because you get questions wherein it is asked which is having higher ionic nature, or which is having higher melting point, which is having higher boiling point. So these are the questions that you need to keep in mind. For example, I'll write a question. Choose which is more ionic in nature, right? And let's say the first part, the question says lithium iodide and potassium iodide. So now I'll just write down all the things that we need to check here. We are going to check for ionic, and the points that I have just discussed before, they were for the covalent nature. So we know that if you are talking about ionic nature, the high ionic nature, what is the criteria? That metal is larger. हमने कोवेलेंट के लिए कहा था metal should be smaller. metal larger होना चाहिए, non metal less positive होना चाहिए, और metal not from D and F. अगर ये तीनों conditions settle हो जाएंगी तो we can say which is more ionic. Now if I talk about this particular compound, I have to talk about the metal has to be larger. So if I talk about metal is here Li plus and K plus, right? Non-metal less positive. In both the cases, non-metal is iodine minus. So that criteria is out of the box. And then metal should not be from D and F, and we know they both are alkali metals. They are not from D and F. So now if I have to talk about larger, who is larger out of these two? K plus is larger, definitely. We all know the periodic table, and we know K plus is much bigger than lithium plus. Lithium is the smallest cation that we have. So which is going to be more ionic in the above question? It is going to be Ki. Similarly, if the next question be AlCl3 and magnesium chloride. Now again, I have to see the metal if it is larger. My non-metal again is same. So I'm not going to consider that, because in both of them the chlorine is present as Cl minus. Now if I talk about metal, here it is Al3 plus, here it is Mg2 plus, right? So now Al3 plus and Mg2 plus, non-metal, it is going to be the same for both of them. Metal, is it from the D and F? No, they both are not from D and F. So now the only thing that I have to see here is, we saw that for covalent character, metal के पास ज़्यादा higher positive होना चाहिए. So for ionic, we have to say that metal should have less positive charge, right? So out of these two, which is having less positive charge? It is this. So which compound is more ionic here? It is magnesium chloride. Similarly, if I say it is CuCl and KCl, again my non-metal is same, it is in the same valency, so no need to consider it. You have Cu plus and K plus, but here we also know that copper belongs to D and F block, right? So if it is belonging to D and F block, it is more covalent, so it is going to be less ionic straight out. So who is going to be more ionic? It is going to be KCl. So you have to consider all the points that I have written above so that you can easily solve your question. Now let's do few more questions. Same part. If it is calcium oxide and let's say magnesium oxide, again the non-metal is same and it is in the same charge. I'm left with calcium 2 plus and I'm left with Mg2 plus. Out of these two, which is going to be bigger in size? This is going to be bigger in size, and we know that metal should be larger for higher ionic character. So this is going to be my answer. Next, if I say let's take nickel chloride and let's take calcium chloride or potassium chloride, right? Let's take calcium chloride. We'll have the same valency. Now here I have nickel 2 plus, here I have calcium 2 plus. Again, this is from D and F. So this is definitely out of the picture when you're talking about the higher ionic charge. So ionic character. So this is going to be my more ionic product, more ionic compound. If I talk about, let's say, now let's change the non-metal. If I talk about MnO and MnO2. So here manganese is there in both the compounds, but here manganese is +4 and here manganese is +2. So now my oxygen is present as such, but my metal is present in two different oxidation states or two different positive charge. So we have to see which is having the lesser positive charge, which is that it is MnO. Sorry, I'm sorry, I just mixed both of them. This is going to be +2 and this is going to be +4. I'm sorry. So now out of this we have to check which is less positive value. Less positive value is MnO2. So this is going to be my more ionic compound, right? Similarly, let's take few more examples before I wind up the topic. Let's take barium chloride and beryllium chloride. Now here it is Ba2 plus, here it is Be2 plus. Again, my non-metal is same and in the same oxidation state. So if I talk about barium or beryllium, none of them are from D and F block. So I have to see for higher ionic character what should be considered the bigger size. So this is bigger in size, so it is going to be more ionic. BaCl2 is going to be more ionic. Also, the question can ask you which of them is more soluble in water, and they can give you options. So as I talked previously, ionic character is directly proportional to the solubility. More is the ionic character, more is the solubility. So if the question says, let's say K2CO3 or calcium carbonate, again carbonate is going to be the same. So if I am taking K plus here and it is going to be Ca2 plus, I have to see which is having more ionic character. So if I see this particular question, we saw that the metal has to have less positive charge. So this metal is having less positive charge because the size is going to be almost the same. This is potassium and this is calcium. So if I talk about K plus, this is going to be more positive, and that is why, which is going to be more ionic, K2CO3, and K2CO3 is more soluble. Right? Same if I talk about, let's say, thermal stability. I also said that ionic character is directly proportional to the thermal stability. If the question is between KCl and calcium chloride, then what will happen? This is K plus and this is Ca2 plus. Which is more ionic? We just saw in the above question. K plus is going to be more ionic, so this is going to be more thermally stable. Also, there are few questions that regularly come in exam wherein you have to arrange in order of ionic character. I am not writing increasing or decreasing because my main aim is to explain you the concept. If it is in the increasing order, you can do it like that. So if you have to arrange them in the order of ionic character का मतलब क्या है? What it is talking about? It is talking about the transfer of electron from metal to the non-metal. So let's say if the options are given to you: lithium fluoride, nitrogen, ClF3, K2O. Now please look here very carefully. When I talk about this, it is metal and this is non-metal. N2 is definitely not ionic. Why? It should be having the least ionic character because it is absolutely covalent. Why? Because both the atoms are same. Both are nitrogen atoms, so they are the same atom, so they are going to have almost zero ionic character. So this is going to be least ionic for sure. ये बात तो तय है because here this is the only option wherein it is saying that both the atoms are same. So similarly, if I talk about ClF3, here Cl is a non-metal and fluorine is also a non-metal, so they both are non-metals. And if I talk about here, it is metal and it is non-metal, so the least is going to be this. After that, these are two non-metals, so again there is going to be a TIF here. Now what are left? Now you are left with LiF and K2O, right? And we know that the metal has to be larger. So if I am talking about lithium and I am talking about potassium, I know lithium is smaller. So lithium will come here and then we will have K2O. I hope this is clear because it is important. Similarly, let me take one more example. If I say I have magnesium fluoride, magnesium bromide, magnesium chloride and magnesium iodide, right? So if I talk about this, there is the same metal throughout, it is magnesium, but I have different sizes of the non-metal present here. So I know for the non-metal, the smaller the non-metal, it is going to be more ionic. So the order is going to be, the most ionic is going to be this, then you have the next in the size, and the last is going to be iodide, right? I hope the concept are clear now and you would be able to solve the questions on Fajan's rule easily.